is too low. Now, the outflow of cash, and let me clean this up here just a little bit. Let me clean this up just a little bit. The outflow of cash in the form of reimbursement to the PBM for prescriptions that are dispensed by the pharmacy and the PBMs network is too high. So this amount is too low. This amount is too high. Now, here's the third problem with this whole system. And I'm going to talk about why. I'm going to give you the whys behind both the too low formulary rebates and the too high of reimbursement here in a second. But here's the third problem, and I touched on it. PBMs leveraging the unsophistication of their clients around this industry. The third problem is this. The entities that sit at the top of this entire system fund it, but know the least about how it works. That is a recipe for what we are seeing today. That is and has been a recipe for disaster. And so you're here today to address that problem. So I talked about the payments, the reimbursements to the PBM being too high. We're talking about the spread. So in the pharmacy business, you've heard the acronym average wholesale price, or AWP. Inside, around the water cooler, we refer to it as ain't what's paid. Let me give you a real world example. AWP, artificially inflated, no one pays it, can be significantly higher than what the drugs actually cost. The MAC is higher than the actual acquisition cost, or what a pharmacy pays to put the product on the shelf. What a pharmacy either pays a generic drug manufacturer or a brand drug manufacturer or a wholesaler to bring the product into inventory. The MAC is closer to the actual acquisition cost than is the AWP, but it a lot closer, but it too is higher than the actual acquisition cost, or in other words, the invoice cost. So let's take a look at levothyroxine here. 100 micrograms, 30 tablets. The AWP is $561. Now, listen, these are not my AWPs. These AWPs are created by the drug manufacturers, both brand and generic. These are not mine. If you have access to that database, I encourage you, hey, spot check. Call me on it. Call me on it. The reason I say this, the point I'm making here is let's look at two benchmarks here, AWP and MAC. Now, by the way, if you're a purchaser of PBM services, if you offer an employer-sponsored pharmacy benefit program, you receive a bill, it should be based upon the minimum or the lowest of 4 different price benchmarks. At a minimum, these 4, AWP, MAC, UNC, and the member's cost share. If the member's cost share covers the ingredient cost, then the plan is called a zero balance due, shouldn't pay anything, right? So the minimum of those 4 should determine what you pay. Removal of any one of those is going to increase your cost, period. But again, that's just another really quick insight. But let me get back to AWP. Let's call the AWP 560 here, okay? And then let's say that the MAC, let's call the MAC, let's call it 15 bucks. Let's call the MAC 15 bucks, right? Substantially lower than the AWP. Now, you negotiate a discount with the PBM. Let's say that you're a really good negotiator, and effectively you're receiving, no matter whether the drug was priced, the generic drug's price was based on AWP, MAC, or UNC or the member cost share, all four of those, at the end of the year, effectively you're getting an 85% discount off of AWP. I can tell you that that would be unusual. It's not the norm. It should be, and even higher. It should be 88, 89, 90%. But not when the PBM is making spread money. So in this example, a discount of 85%, let's call it 475, is the, let me, jeez, that's just horrible. All right, so let's call it a 475 discount. So that leaves folks a cost of $85. Look at what it costs to put this product on the shelf. $4. That's what the pharmacy paid. That's what the pharmacy paid. Now, the PBM could mark up this product 100%. We can factor in the dispensing fee as well. Let's just call it an even $10. And I can tell you, an independent pharmacist will tell you that they're not getting 100% markup on generic drugs. They're just not. But we're going to be generous today. So let's call it $10. Folks, here's your spread, $75. If the cost basis or the benchmark used to determine the health plans or the third-party payers billed amount was AWP. Now, if it's MAC, you can see here the MAC price is 10. The PBM's out of pocket doesn't change, it's $10. Now the spread is $5. That's why it's so important to have as many generic drugs on the MAC list as possible. When they're not on the MAC list, first of all, you have to have access to the MAC list. That's the first thing. You have to be able to get access to that. I'm not saying on a daily basis or anything. If you can look monthly, quarterly, get access to it. How many drugs are on there? What are their prices? What are the price increase quarter over quarter, year over year? Those sorts of things. What's the MAC effective rate? What effectively is the discount off of AWP these MAC, MAC apostrophe free D drugs are achieving? The only way to know if a spread is taking place is you got to know what the PBM's client is being billed, easy enough. The second piece is you got to know what the PBM is paying the pharmacy for that exact claim. Information asymmetry, when the PBM is reluctant to share that with you because they don't want you to know how much they're keeping. Case in point, the state of Ohio, it's about 2.5 years ago, and this is ongoing. This is ongoing. The state of Ohio, unlimited resources, but were unsophisticated where pharmacy benefits were concerned. This is one of the, I see it every day. It is just, listen, we just have to get more knowledgeable around this. But the state of Ohio, they pivoted. This is not anecdotal. Okay, they pivoted. We're not going to focus on minimum rebate guarantees. We're going to use them as a tool in our evaluation process. We're not going to focus on the discounts off of AWP. We're going to use them as a tool in our evaluation process. But what we want to start knowing is how much you're being paid. they uncovered almost $250 million just in spreads. I just showed you how that works. $250 million in spreads that the PBMs, you can call it a service fee, you can also call it a management fee. At the end of the day, it was money they were keeping in their bank account that the state of Ohio was unaware of. When they discovered it, they paused and said, we believe we're overpaying and we're terminating these contracts. Why can't you do that? Listen, this is about the health plans. This is about the third party payers. I told you my position up front. If you're overpaying for advertising, go for it. Couldn't care less. But in healthcare, nah. Misleading contract language. Let me speed up here a little bit. I'm already at 30 minutes. Let me speed up here. Stay with me. The best part is coming up. Again, the contract language sets the foundation for everything that's going to take place when that plan goes live. It just does. It's not the claims repricing, right? It's the contract and it's the benefit design, right? It's not the claims repricing. And you have more control over the benefit design than you've probably been led to believe. But to maximize that control, you have to have some knowledge beyond just the functional role of what we do. So let's touch on this really quickly. I talked about MAC drugs, MAC''D. Employers' MAC lists are less comprehensive and less aggressive, meaning there could be less generic drugs on that list, and the drugs on there, the prices aren't as low as they would be for the amount that the PBM has to reimburse to the pharmacy. The pharmacy's MAC list can be different than yours in terms of what drugs are on it and what the prices are for those drugs. Any difference, the PBM is going to keep. Information asymmetry, rebates by many names, and that's in the pharmacy reimbursement and distribution system slide that I shared with you. When I said the inflow of cash is too low, that line was labeled formulary rebates. That's just one type of rebate. That's a big reason why the dollars flowing back with the intent of getting the lowest net cost or reducing the cost is because it's formulary rebates getting back when manufacturer administrative fees, which are different than administrative fees for claims adjudication and customer service and account management, that's different than this fee. That is different than this fee. Market share rebates as well. Listen, here are the names of different types of rebates: access, market share, administrative fee, product discounts, price protection rebates, outcomes rebates. This is about 3 years old now, maybe 4 or so. It took about 2 or 3 years before the information was published from this invoice date. But what I want you to see here is that the manufacturer administrative fee is a lot larger than the formulary rebate. And this is just for one drug. And it was EVZ-EVZIO. Right? So the administrative fee dwarfs the formulary rebate. And here again, this is public information. This is public information that was made available when Express Scripts sued to get these monies from the manufacturer. The price protection rebates, because this manufacturer allegedly increased the price of the product in rapid succession, and so therefore, based upon the contract, that PBM was entitled to supposedly higher rebates. I got no doubt that Express Scripts was owed this money. Whether they're going to be able to recoup it is a different story. But you can see here, these rebates dwarf the other rebates. Outcomes rebates have been negotiated for over 10 years now. They are refunds to the PBM when a prescription drug doesn't achieve a preset metric that was agreed upon between the manufacturer and the PBM. A refund is made, either a portion of it, of the original cost, or all of it. How many third-party payers are seeing any of this money? Remember, I talked about how as you're getting smarter about not allowing about more transparency, demanding more transparency, where's the money going? PBMs they're already 5 years ahead. 5 years ahead. So while you're now fighting for more rebate dollars, and maybe some of these PBMs are now even starting to offer up rebates remittance reports, they've already hid those costs in what are referred to as GMF or GPO management fees. They form these group purchasing organizations now and operating as rebate aggregators and charging these fees now, which aren't being treated as rebate dollars coming from the manufacturer. So we're going to form this group purchasing organization, then we're going to charge a fee to manage this group purchasing organization. It's the same thing. It's information asymmetry at the highest level. The bottom line here is, and I'm wrapping up here, but the bottom line here is this. In the evaluation of any PBM's performance or proposal, you must take into account what they're putting in the bank account. And you must ask yourself, like the state of Ohio, do you think it's fair? The genius of the entire business model is that the PBM's management fee, whether you like it or not, you have to appreciate the genius of it. You have to respect the genius of it. Is that this amount here is hidden here. It is not necessarily that the drugs cost too much or attributed to your 12% year-over-year increase, whether you're fully insured or self-insured. I'm going to give you a real life example here in the next slide or two. But before I do that, I want to sum up everything I just talked to you about using the words of CVS's, I think now retired CEO from 2018. Not my words, his words. This was pulled from the internet. In layman's terms, what he is saying here. So while the PBM's clients are waiting until the end of the competitive bidding process to really and truly dig into the contract, not as a formality up front, but really and truly starting digging into the contracting process. And by the way, most times when that happens, it's around the business associates agreement. It's not around the opacity in the contracting around cost and pricing. It's around the BAA. He couldn't get past the third word before the word contract came up. The third word in the sentence was contract. While its clients are just, let's do the claims repricings. That's going to tell us all we need. Come on. Here's what he's saying in layman's terms. We are going to make as much money as we possibly can. The amount of money that we are going to make is ultimately going to depend on how sophisticated or unsophisticated our clients might be. That is exactly what he's saying. The more sophisticated clients who maybe worked for a PBM on the inside or have received some training around the PBM industry by an insider, and who have taken that training and leveraged it and built upon it over a significant amount of time, dedicating a lot of time and a lot of resources to maintaining a high level of sophistication around it, all they're going to pay is the overhead, right? They're going to cover the overhead. It's everyone else who's paying dividends for the private jets, the inefficient business operations. That's what they're paying. And so I've talked about the PBM's management fee. This is a proprietary formula that we've come up with. And here, I need to, we've recently changed this to DIR fees, and we're now coupling the dispensing fees with the ingredient costs. But if you look at this formula here, ingredient cost encompasses the dispensing fee here. So because DIR fees, if you don't know what they are, look them up. They are now front and center more so today than they were 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. Before, they were a rounding error, not anymore, right? So everything in green lands in the PBM's bank account. In red are dollars that leaves the PBM's bank account. A share of rebate dollars that it passes through to a client. A reimbursement to a pharmacy. That's a cash disbursement. Whatever is left over is what the PBM is paying itself. We got to start focusing on that. So the new path says this: is every PBM going to offer a fiduciary standard? Absolutely not. I said that up front. It would turn off the lights. But every PBM, if you push hard enough and are unwilling to accept less, can offer radical transparency. What you're going to see in exchange now, if that's actually what you're receiving, is a higher administrative fee, or maybe the administrative fee is still low, but you still know exactly how much the PBM is keeping for rebates and how much is keeping from the spread pricing. The key is knowing what that amount is. However you want to divide up the cost, that's up to you, but you want to know what the PBM is paying itself. And so, case in point, earnings after cash disbursements, and I'm wrapping up here. Client we bought on in 2020, okay, came to us with a PMPM of 5788. In their first full year with us, all in, including our fees, the cost was 2312. That's a 60% drop. The difference here, the $35 PMPM difference that Prime charged was their management fee. It should make you sick to your stomach that that fee is higher than what the drugs cost. That fee is higher than what the drugs cost. Now, I know you're saying, get out of here with that, Tyrone. I told you, I don't say things because I know you're going to question it without having proof. Okay, so listen, that is going to be my time today. Again, I talked about this. If you listen, if this is a concern of yours and you want to do something about it, or you even want to move up in your career, we've got this course, the first of its kind, that focuses on the pharmacy benefits management industry from an insider perspective, offering CE to pharmacists, life and health licensees, as well as those that are in HR with SHRM or HRCI designations. And we spend 8 weeks, just imagine, 8 weeks together talking about similar topics that I shared with you here today over 35 or 40 minutes. Just think how powerful that could be when we talk about change. When we talk about change, those folks in that class today have modified their behavior. I said it to you up front. I wanted 3 things from you. And the third thing was, I want you to do something. Modify your behavior. Maybe this is a way to do that. And listen, graduate, just a plug here, graduate of the Eli Broad College of Business at Michigan State, never knew who he was. Not until afterwards did I have enough curiosity to go back and find out who this cat was. Billionaire a few times over, the only man in the history of the world to be a founder of 2 Fortune 500 companies. He believed education was the key to skyrocketing healthcare costs. I don't know much about cars, never have. When I need to get a car fixed, I go into the dealership and I act like I know what I'm talking about in hopes that I don't get taken, no pun intended, for a ride. I fake it. I bang my hand on the table. I stick my chest out and I say, I don't need that. I need this. And inevitably, I find myself on the side of the road because I wasn't sophisticated enough to talk at the same level that the technician, the car technician, repair technician does, or bring someone with me who has that same level of knowledge. Or the third option is find someone I can trust and who won't take advantage of my unsophistication when it comes to cars. That's what you got to do around pharmacy benefits. It's got to be one of the 3, because faking it gets us right where we are today. It's time for change. Okay, that's my time today. I appreciate you sticking around. You'll get a recording of this in your inbox in the morning. If you have any questions, like I said, I'll stick around for a little bit, but be safe out there. And I appreciate you hopping on. Tell your colleagues about it and have them join the next one. Thank you.